Welcome to Threshold Autopsy. I'm your host, Private Investigator Queen. I use she, her pronouns, and I am jazzed to be here with you all. Now, let me warn you, this show contains major spoilers for everything in Threshold as of the day this episode is published, so if you're not caught up, I am not liable. Before we get started tonight, I'd like to ask my professional associate here to state the facts of the case so far.
Howdy, hello. Vol Control here, Private Eye, he, him pronouns, and the state of the case this week is as follows. Callahan's fate is sealed with our decision to keep him in the loop. Arthur and John puzzle over what the key they took from Puckett's neck could go to, and lament Detective Noel's absence as John makes a little detour on the way home. As Arthur promised, they stop at Haven's to pick up a pulp magazine, the cover of which is of a story John wrote himself. After a brief spat that reveals Arthur is struggling to write music while John is prolific enough to contribute to the household finances, John requests going into timeout to think on his next Lawrence Holder story. Once Arthur is alone, the specter haunting him reveals itself to be none other than Parker. After Parker proves he is who he says he says he doesn't know why he's here, but he's scared. The phone rings, and Arthur pulls John back out. A mysterious voice tells Arthur they're sending a car for him. Arthur and John don't recognize the voice, but Parker does. It's one of Edwin's boys.
Dun, dun, dun.
There was so much that happened in this episode.
You did a really good job. Looking at it on paper, it's very short, but it really encompassed everything. You do such
You
good
know, you
summaries.
know, I haven't been here writing summaries for every single episode, but it is our 100th episode. So,
It is our 100th episode. And you know what? I just want to take a minute because I thought it was very relevant during the chapter and it made me think of my position. And I think it's an appropriate place to put it since I brought up how good you are at writing summaries. I loved the point in this chapter where Arthur and John had their little spat and you got to hear Arthur say how happy he was that John found something that was good for him and that he liked to do and that he was very good at describing the world around him because Vol is the bestest writer and has published books and everything and has worked with an illustrator and does all this amazing stuff. And I'm just so constantly proud of him and the job that he's done to put his writing out there. And I know he doesn't give himself enough credit for that. He I don't think he takes up enough space because he's such a good author. And I was so happy to hear John being so jazzed about being on the cover. It made me really excited about Vol's future and being
aw.
able to celebrate him and more books that he's going to put out because he is going to put them out. And and I just remember getting Vol's first physical book and holding it and he signed it and wrote to me in it and I was so excited about it. And he's so good at writing. And if you haven't read Vol's writing, you should. But I wanted to shout him out because he did such a good job with the summary. He always does, and he's very good
You're
at
so.
it. So yes, Vol's
Aw,
flowers.
thank you. That's very sweet of you, Queen. Summary writing is definitely a skill, and it's something that I have struggled with in the past, but after publishing several short stories and having to write summaries for every single one of them, at a certain point you just kind of get to you figure out how to boil something down to just the brass tacks. But in regards to John, the reveal that John has been writing his own detective stories and hearing that joy in his voice to get on the cover was so endearing. And I know that a lot of people kind of resonated with that or were inspired by the fact that John's writing stories and I love that creative connection between both the audience and the story.
Me too. I really liked that. And I loved hearing John's earnest and honest reactions. And despite the fact that it was couched in half an argument, I loved Arthur's response to
Yeah,
it too.
yeah.
Yes, I thought that it was such a brilliant idea to make John a writer, an author.
I think that a lot of us have sort of had this pipe dream about oh, when Arthur and John finally get back home, Arthur will be able to show John more poetry and maybe John will pursue some creative pursuit. And I think it was one of those things that we never really thought we were going to see in canon, but And so I think
Hmm.
it's just like it's one of those things in Threshold where you're just like sort of jaw is on the floor where you're like, wait, this is real? This is canon now?
Yeah, I think that it's interesting. So many people have in the past asked on spooky streams, for example, if John would be into art, if he liked art, because the King in Yellow is strongly associated with art and theater, and people sometimes depict the King in Yellow, or fragments of him, as sometimes a painter or a musician,
Hmm.
or something like that.
Or at least a patron of the arts, yeah.
Yeah, 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 because that just fits
Hmm.
mythos wise. And I personally had thought John would make a fantastic author when I first heard
Right.
him. That was my first thought, was like, his descriptions are so beautiful. He's got to be a good writer. And I wrote that down, and I had like a whole fan fiction-y idea that I plotted out for like a good 6 chapters about that concept. And I'm not saying at all that it was anything like this. It was nothing like this. So, like, Harlan, you did it first, but I did think he would make a very good author, and I really liked that idea. And so to hear that it happened in canon was like, I was just, my arms were in the air. I was like, that's the perfect move. I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, and but speaking of other things that we didn't think would be canon necessarily, or like didn't think that we would get revealed so soon. Holy shit, Parker. Like the fact that
Parker.
we had been told like you will not hear Parker's voice for the longest time, and then we got a little snippet of it, and now like Parker as like a full-blown character in the story is blowing my fucking mind.
It's crazy how many fastballs we're getting. Like, the the way that all of our dreams are coming true chapter by
Yeah.
chapter, and I almost feel like he's like, okay, I have to drip out all of these releases. Like, it started with, oh my god, we get domestic John and Arthur sitting in a car, and Arthur's
Right.
bored. Arthur gets to be bored. And then it was, oh my god, they're talking about their life and like their day to day, and that's like so exciting. And then it was, John's an author, and now it's, oh my god, Parker's there. Like,
Yeah.
it just feels like that's gonna be the theme for all of Threshold, is just a punch after punch of, oh my god, this is happening.
Yeah.
And it's a very easy to feel like it's constantly
It's
amping
so
up.
funny because like the thought that just came to me was like it's so much fan service, but it's so not. I don't think that's like the intention behind it. You know what I mean?
No,
Yeah. So
I think Harlan's kind of the last person who would do fan service.
absolutely, absolutely. He's like, let me tell my story.
Yeah. And in fact, I mean, if you get too close to an idea, you won't do it. So, like, you know, gentle, casual reminder, if you're in the Discord or whatever, don't talk too much about what you want to see happen, because it won't happen if you say it too loud. Just be
He's
stealthy
stealthy.
about it. But I think that it was especially exciting to hear all of these things. It almost felt like, it wasn't just one smack to the face. It was like a brutal, repeated slapping back
Yeah.
and forth, because it was like, Parker's there. He's actually a ghost. That was a huge theory that we all talked about last autopsy. And on top of all of that, he's rapidly confirming all of these things that we've heard teased throughout spooky
Yeah.
streams, or like in the long, long past when Harmon's written things. Like, his sister's name is Molly, and they met at Jack's bar. Like, all of these things just coming out back to back to back were very exciting. I know we had Jack's bar
Yeah.
sooner. I know that was confirmed a while ago. But my point is, it just kind of felt like it was all
Yeah,
lined up.
yeah. And for future listeners who may not have been aware, Harlan wrote a little snippet about Arthur and Parker's like relationship and dynamic like years ago. And that was kind of all of the lore we had about Parker for so long. And it's on the wiki. I think it's on the Parker Gang's wiki page. And if you listen to this episode now, that is lifting directly from that old writing that Harlan did. And it's so cool that he found this way to incorporate it into canon now. It's like so many years later.
And it haunts me how Arthur's skepticism reminds me so much of when he found
Yeah.
Charlie, and he was on the other side of that wall or
Yeah.
whatever. And he was like, how do I know it's you? And Parker's genius thought of like, I could list things about me all day, but like, I know
Yeah.
you. Because that's the real
Oh,
kicker. Who
man.
else would know you like I
Yeah,
know
that
you?
was so good. Oh, but, I I don't feel like I have enough information to decide whether I am suspicious of this supposed Parker or if I'm all in.
Nope, I want him to give me a big bear hug. I have decided I trust this man with my life, and he will not
Even
change
though
my
he's
mind.
gross,
I have decided there is nothing. I do
I
not
love
care.
that.
I. Parker, I'm gonna say the hot take, the controversial opinion that I'm sure everybody is gonna disagree with. This is sarcasm. Parker has the most huggable vibe of any character in Malevolent ever. I don't know why. I just immediately hear this man, even as a gross ghost, and I would like him to hug me.
That's
I just
so
want a
funny.
very chill hug from
That's
this
so
guy.
funny. I I don't know that I get huggable vibes, but definitely like super protective and I just really like his voice. I just think it's really cool, especially with the like weird effect that Harlan's added to it. It's very spooky, but also like strangely familiar because of the way that he talks to Arthur. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Sorry, I'm just realizing I probably have to unpack that later somewhere else, but like I think huggable was supposed to be safe, and I think I just really want to feel
Yeah.
safe. And so it extended to, oh, this guy could probably feel safe
Yeah,
with
yeah,
this
yeah.
guy. Man, anyway, gotta talk to somebody about that. So I think we should get into evidence
Yeah,
and leads.
yes.
So what was your evidence this week?
Oh man, I mean, we've just yapped about like how many great things were in the episode, and we even touched a little bit on this moment. Our we had our first quote unquote divorce in Threshold in this episode, where we really heard Arthur and John bickering at each other, but the tone of it is so different, and to the point that Arthur so angrily says, "I'm proud of you too." And John's like, "Well, thank you." And I thought that was so funny. And I like that we can still have a little bit of that tension and see that like they're not completely different characters. They are still flawed and they still will pick on each other and bicker at each other. And I really thought that was it was very charming, especially because it didn't turn into a big to do or fallout. They got over it very quickly too.
It just feels so beautifully human. Harlan writes relationships like real relationships, and that's hard to do in fiction, especially when you have a plot to move along and you have things to do that aren't just like fleshing out a
Yeah.
relationship. And I loved that. And I also absolutely have been a petty, stubborn, petulant little baby and have said things like, so you're just gonna read that all night? Yup. Like I've absolutely
Yeah.
done the very angry
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Like that's exactly what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Damn it. And I loved that. I could really see myself in John for a
Yeah,
minute there.
yeah. But I also have to give a shout out to a single line, so the bird can sing. Oh man, Parker's opening line is
Mm,
so smooth, so good.
mm, mm. It's very
Yeah,
thematic.
yeah. It has the perfect vibe. And if you're listening with headphones, like you can hear Parker smoking, you can hear like the sizzle of the cigarette, and you can even hear him put it out before he speaks, and it's just the vibes are immaculate.
And the fact that he confirms like, Parker's dead, but whatever's behind him is very much alive. Like all of that combined with the way he talks, the metaphors he uses, and the soundscaping for his everything. Not only his actions, but like the filter on his voice that makes him sound otherworldly. It's just it was just so artfully done. You got that creepy vibe, but also that feeling of like nostalgia and hope for somebody that you've never met
Yeah.
before. It's very
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
What about your
Oh
lead?
man, I am obsessed with the brief little preview we got of Arthur having two disembodied voices around him, and they can't
Oh,
hear each other. And I am just in love with with that idea of Arthur basically being on the phone with two different people at the same time and trying to juggle his attention.
I do have to wonder if that's gonna get chaotic. I'm sure there's gonna be some like Yorick style juggling of when that's employed and like convenient reasons that one or the other have to be kind of like shut up for a minute.
Yeah, and I am curious if there will be some way to have John be able to see Parker and hear him. I'm curious if there's some like some way, some method that they can bridge that gap.
Yeah, I have to wonder why John can't see him.
Yeah.
So many good leads.
I have one other lead that's kind of just a little shit post. We are starting off Threshold strong with Arthur running on no sleep because it is currently probably around 11:30 at night now, and Arthur's about to get mixed up with some mob shenanigans, and I don't know when that guy's gonna sleep.
I have come to the point where I remember in my early 20s being like, oh, it's only 11. Like, I have the whole night ahead of me. And as a 33-year-old woman now, I'm like, you're leaving the house after
Right,
9? Are
exactly.
you insane? Why would you do that on purpose? And, like, of course, if you're coerced by the mob to do it,
Yeah.
of course you're going to do it. But, like, God, that's
Actually, Eggy
exhausting.
Bread in the chat, who's here for their first autopsy, makes a good point. What do you mean about no sleep? I slept in the car. Arthur did actually have a 4-hour nap a few hours ago. So
That's true.
maybe he's not running on E right out the gate.
I run on naps. I run mostly on naps. I think the most sleep I get overnight is like 6 hours. It's usually more
Right.
like five. And then
Many
I
naps.
nap.
What was your evidence this week, Queen?
The desperation in Arthur's voice when he insists that it had to be the real
Yeah.
Charlie when he was telling him where he was, because John is the one that is skeptical. John thinks that he's as good as dead, and that first of all broke my heart, because John, being the one who is trying to be more practical and grounded in reality, was not something I anticipated for this, especially when it came to Charlie. I thought John would be the one who was like, we have to find him and where is he
Right.
and blah blah blah. But no, it turns out John is like really come to terms with the fact that Charlie's just fucking gone.
I think maybe John is protecting himself. He's just trying to protect his heart.
Like me, relatable king. I I just I the way that Arthur said it wasn't. Like, if you didn't have time to think about that line because your brain was going a mile and miles an hour hearing the first mention of Charlie again,
Like some
like
people.
I did, like re-listen, yeah, re-listen to that portion, because Arthur sounds like he's gonna fucking
Yeah.
cry for a minute. He's like desperate to believe that it didn't, like he knows it wasn't a trick. It's the same tone he used when he was trying to tell John that he heard Faro. And he knows that sounds crazy because Faro's dead, but like she told him. And it reminded me of that scene, and it
Yeah.
just broke my heart.
Yeah. But I also think that John really does show. I like that he canonized the acknowledgement that Noel is the only person who has gotten to really speak to John, and it by bringing that up, it feels like it's so important to John, and he says, we both lost a friend, and it's just really interesting hearing them talk about their relationship to Charlie, and yeah, I'm really glad that they mentioned it again, so that we need to find Charlie.
Need to find Charlie. Need to find Charlie. And I know they have more, like, bigger fish to fry, but God, I can't imagine what it must have been like in those first few
Yeah.
days to come back. I wonder. I mean, obviously their priority was making sure they could put on a good act
Yeah.
for Faro, because she's like walking around the office like it's no big
Yeah.
fucking deal. But I wonder what they settled on. Like, first things first, we have to do this, we have to do that. And like, what was the conversation like around
Yeah.
finding Charlie?
Yeah.
Like, I'm so
Inky Horror in the
curious.
chat says miles to go before we get Charlie back.
The
Anyways,
baby.
what was your lead this week, Queen?
I have too
Yeah.
many fucking leads, but I tried to
Yeah.
pick
There
just a
were a lot.
couple. The one that I haven't seen anyone talk about, and I say that not because I'm saying nobody has talked about it, but because like I don't have the presence to be able to see what
Right.
everyone's saying. But the thing I really haven't seen talked about a lot is Arthur's very quick and easy dismissal of responsibility over killing Sam.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when we listened to that together, I was like, okay, Arthur, like, what the fuck?
Yeah. He really doubles down on it. It's not just like a passing comment, because if it was just one thing, I could be like, okay, that's more of a plot convenience, but it really drew my attention when he says both we pulled the trigger, yes, and then he goes on to later say the person who got Sam involved in this is the real killer. And I wanted to be like, Arthur, sweetie pie, you killed a
Right.
man. And I need you to either like acknowledge that or even just acknowledge like, he could be straight up about it, be like, I can't deal with the
Yeah.
mental, strain of that right now, so I can't think about that. But it was really like different to hear Arthur so quickly shovel off the
Yeah.
blame onto somebody else, and man, that puts my hair on edge for
Yeah,
what that
yeah,
means.
yeah, and it was interesting because I feel like even John's like response to that was sort of like, right, sure.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that we are getting some processing or like verbalization of like how Arthur feels in the wake of killing Sam, because I think that we all knew that like there's gonna have to be you're gonna have to unpack that a little bit and like how that felt, because right after it happened it was kind of like, oh, Arthur's just like kind of like cool with having murdered someone in cold blood. Like, and he's just moving right along with his day, like, oops, well, that sucks. But so it's
Yeah.
interesting to hear him to compartmentalize it like this.
Yeah, and I think it was also just like that is a take that a lot of it really it was, you know what? It felt like holding up a mirror, because it was very much like that's the way that a lot of people who are engaging with the story can see it, like me, like, oh, I don't know this kid and I don't care if like what does this matter to me if Sam dies. But that in the character that I'm supposed to be making choices for is very
Yeah.
unsettling. Like, oh, I don't care,
Right,
but
right,
you're
right.
supposed to care. I wanted you to care about
Yeah, yeah.
this. The other lead that I had was the fact that specifically the way that the conversation around Charlie versus Noel got brought up. I know that in part that was a recap for anybody who didn't
Right.
hear
Yeah,
Blackstone,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I get that. However, the way that it was brought up and the language used around identity here made me really wonder if that's going to play a part in solving a greater mystery, even if it's a smaller mystery like who killed Puckett. But like, a man with two identities is such a specific way to say that like I have to wonder if that's something that I should hold on to while thinking about like who's involved in this, who's coming to pick us
Yeah,
up right now, who Parker, what's going on with
yeah.
Ghost Parker. Like, I don't know, that just really got me. Like, I almost feel like a dog that picked up a scent, like, oh nope, I see that, I got
Well,
it, it's over there.
not only the phrasing of a man with two identities, but when Arthur is reminding John that Noel Finley was a real person, was a friend of Charlie's who went missing after the war. I thought it was very interesting
Yeah.
that it specifically was missing. Like, I don't know, that intrigues me.
Well, I mean, especially in that time, people quote unquote went missing and were found dead later, or never found. And that really is like either they died and their body
Right.
was never found, or they picked a new identity and
Yeah.
moved somewhere else, or they just didn't have great record keeping and that person came back, but like they don't really have that
Yeah, yeah,
written
yeah.
down anywhere. So really anything could have happened to
Imagine
Noel
Noel
Finley.
Finley is living as Charlie Dowd.
Dude, that would be
That'd be
fucking
so funny. So
hysterical.
I'm putting a note on my red string corkboard that says Noel Finley returns.
Yeah, I'll back that red string. I'll reinforce that. I think Noel's gonna play a part in this, especially if he comes around looking
Yeah.
for Charlie and tries to help
It's
find
gonna be
Charlie.
really confusing talking about those two characters if Noel Finley does come back.
Not for me, because I really consistently
Yeah,
call him
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Charlie. So, all our jabbering aside, I know we got some juicy witness statements this week, and I think we should get into them.
Yeah,
Would you like me to read this one, or would you like to?
you can read it.
Our first witness statement this week is an email from Spade. Hello, it's Spade. John's a little and the money was perfect. The way my jaw dropped when Parker being the hallucination and the one flicking the lighter was revealed. I do find it interesting that hallucination Parker has an appearance even though no one can see him. And of course, the way he describes himself is a corpse. The hard part with these types of stories is it is hard to tell what is supernatural and what is psychological, and those things can even mix together. Because while, yes, all of the questions Parker answered were true, they were all questions Arthur knew the answer to, except for supposed Parker recognizing people on the phone call, apparently. For context, I wrote most of that before, and then the phone call happened. So it could be Arthur's mind, or he's literally haunted by Parker, or something pretending to be Parker with past information. If it is not a hallucination, I hope it is actually Parker, though I am worried it is some other entity. Puckett too mentioned he was haunted by someone or something in his past, which eventually caught up to him. Maybe this is Arthur's version, or something else entirely that I already mentioned. And that is all. Bye-bye. Thank you, Spade, for your lovely email. And yes, I think we all kind of collectively gasped and put our hands over our hearts with John's little and
Yes.
money, because that was very, very cute. And I also really liked it when the dots connected in my brain about Parker being something from Arthur's past that he has been following him, and Puckett having said basically the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, it is very interesting because I know that I mentioned in past autopsies that I thought that Parker was going to come back even if only as some sort of like PTSD hallucination or something like that. And but now that like the ghost Parker is here, I want him to be real. I don't want him to just be a hallucination.
Yes. I mean, I think
Yeah.
he's real.
And Spade makes a good point that if Parker was a hallucination of Arthur's, he wouldn't know who was on the phone. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
So he has to be real. There we go. We solved it already, guys. He's real. No more questions.
I think it's there's so many interesting parts of Parker being a ghost. Like he has a physical appearance and he knows what it is. He knows what his face looks like in
Mhm.
pretty good detail. I've seen some lore that suggests in other things that like ghosts don't have reflections in the same way
Right.
that vampires don't, blah blah blah. And he also has like objects that he
Yeah.
is using, and I mean I assume he's using a
Yeah,
ghost
somebody
cigarette.
somebody
Like
in the chat asked earlier, where does he get his ghost cigarettes? And you know what? That's a good question.
it's a good question. Maybe it's like a maybe it's actually like a cigarette that has been extinguished already.
He's just
He's because the
he's
cigarette died, right? Like
That's very funny. I was gonna offer my own artistic interpretation is that he has a like a pack of cigarettes that has the same number of cigarettes that were in his pack when he died, and when he takes one out, it doesn't actually like remove the number of cigarettes from the pack. So he has like an eternal pack of cigarettes that is in the state. Yes, that it
infinite
was in the state it
cigarettes.
was in when he died.
So the thing I'm learning here from Malevolent Ghost lore is always have your bag on you, and like always be prepared to die with your
Right.
stuff on you, and that way you can use it
Yeah.
in the afterlife. So I will be dragging around my entire PC setup so I can game from the beyond.
Excellent.
Not that I'm a big gamer, but my Fields of Mystery save file is not going abandoned when I die. Someone is going to have to take care of my shit.
Very important.
Hi, it's Soup, pronouns they, them. So, really important things were revealed in this episode, possibly the most important of which is the fact that Arthur sleeps on a couch. Don't get me wrong, the man gives couch sleeper vibes, but he lived with Parker and Furrow. Do they have their own couches to sleep on? Their couches seems a bit excessive for a little office. There's also the option of an office in the front, apartment in the back sort of deal. In this scenario, when did he start sleeping on the couch? If he always has slept on the couch, that really backs up what Arthur was saying in Da Capo about feeling like a guest in someone else's life. But there's also the possibility where the apartment has room for 2 beds, and in the original timeline, Arthur had a bed, but in the timeline with Farrow, he lets her have the bed and he sleeps on the couch. There's also the option that he does indeed have a bed but never sleeps on it. This could simply be because he works right up until the moment before he passes out and he doesn't have the extra energy to move from the office area to the apartment area, which already isn't great. But there's also the option that Arthur specifically avoids the apartment section because of its associations with Parker and Farrow. It's a time capsule of life that the three of them shared that Arthur doesn't remember. Anyway, on to Parker. At one point, Parker calls himself Arthur's guardian angel, and the imagery of a rotting angel is so cool. Also, the sound design of Parker's rotting flesh that almost blends into the background music until you notice it is gross in a way that I really enjoy. I don't have many concrete thoughts about what Parker is, but I do think that it's actually him, at least partially. And I think he's the same sort of creature that is following Sam and Puckett.
Thank you for your lovely submission, Soup. Good
Soup. Oh man, I hadn't fully thought about the fact that Arthur might be like avoiding certain parts of the office or apartment or whatever because it has all these memories that he doesn't have. Also, I can't hold it in anymore. Parker's ghost seems to be talking about the timeline that Arthur is from, because he talks about how he met Arthur when he was at his lowest, which would have been, after Farrow died. But Farrow's not dead in this universe, so like, what universe are we in? Who is from where? What is going on? Oh, there's so many questions.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. But but I will also say that Soup saying that Arthur gives couch sleeper vibes is very good.
I still maintain that Parker was so salty about Arthur never playing the piano, he just slept on top of the piano out of spite.
Oh, Autumn in the chat says it could have been after Bella died. That's a good point.
Hey, long time no see. Autumn here again, and holy mother of fuck did I pick a week to come back. I am genuinely so shook. Zombie ghost Parker, he's dead my ass. Parker truces, we have stayed strong and it has finally paid off. We fucking win these. Ugh, does that mean we get Threshold Season 1, Arthur and his Eldritch QPR, and fucking Ghost Parker fighting the Arkham mob? Because I think this is what heaven looks like, guys. Pack it up, you can't get any better. And why can only Arthur hit him? Not even John can see him. Parker seems to be making a concerted effort to haunt Arthur specifically, and he at least has some sort of body of his own. What does this mean? And the potential angst. Like, what does Parker think of his murder? Will Arthur tell John? What juicy, tasty, delicious drama shall unfold? You can sure as shit count on me tuning in to find out. You can pry Peter Parker Yang from my cold fucking dead hands, and maybe not even then, because I'll just come back like he did. I, once again, love having my delusions catered to by Mr. Guthrie. I owe you my life. And that is it. I have no more coherent thoughts about this, so that's all you're getting from me. Just holy fuck, man.
Thank you, Autumn, for your submission. Welcome to a new chapter of your personal madness, because I thought, okay, maybe Autumn will have less to scream about because Kane's out of the picture for a while. Nope, wrong. Autumn found it.
But I have to agree with you, Autumn. This is what heaven looks like. I'm so excited.
Really quick, I wanted to point out, Faye in the chat reminded everybody that in part 56, the dollmaker says, there are some remarkable things about you. So many wounds survived, so many impossible near misses, almost like you've had a guardian angel watching over you. Just very interesting drops of the phrase guardian angel.
That is very interesting. I forgot about that line. Ooh.
And it could be referencing anybody / everybody. It could be multiple people, but Farrow, Lilith, the manager, Parker. I mean, it's just interesting.
Oakley, they, them. And here I was just starting to doubt myself. A crazy theory, a red string on the corkboard pulled too thin, unraveling to the point of incoherence, but I and many others, we were right. I wonder how it feels to be Arthur at this moment, to have both people he killed, 2 pieces of family scrubbed from his life, return all at once. What was it Lilith said? Not everything that's dead is gone. Arthur should know better by now. Nothing truly stays gone. What vulnerability, too, for this ghost to admit fear. Parker Yang was not easily frightened, and certainly I can't imagine Arthur offering his own fear easily to his partner. The way Parker leans into Arthur's ear as he talks, the way you can hear Arthur trying not to move his head, the bitterness in both of their tones. Arthur's on edge because he was expecting this vitriol from his friend. And beneath it all, there's the hurt. Arthur never let Parker into his life, never let him near the wounds that Parker was so eager to patch, and now I can hear the festering rage that Parker never got to express when he mentioned the piano. You just needed time, was what Parker said. You don't need time, was what he said less than 3 minutes before he died. He was right. Arthur didn't need time. He needed a person that he couldn't run from no matter how much he wanted to. So really, in a way, Parker achieved his wish of finally being the friend Arthur needed. He's not leaving anytime soon.
Thank you for your submission, Oakley.
You have some really lovely Parker thoughts. I have no notes. I just thought this was a really lovely message about Parker, what we can already infer from Parker and Arthur's relationship. And I thought it was really interesting that you brought up sort of the bitterness in their tones, and it is really interesting.
I want to bring up a message from chat for posterity. Autumn says Arthur needs to play the piano for Parker to move on. I'm fucking calling it. So I love shutting out things that you think will earnestly happen. Things like that. I think that's really funny to look back on.
Yeah, and you're not the only one. One of our other submissions talks about that as well.
Our next submission is a written statement. So would you like to take this one?
I will. Witness statement of Fractals, AM and It's. What? I can't even. Parker ghost zombie? I knew it was a possibility. Everyone's ghost Parker theories were very good and I agreed with them, but clearly deep down I didn't think they would be true, or maybe just not revealed so soon, because I cannot believe this. Like, I can because it's right there, but The manager wouldn't think to mess with dead people's thoughts, right? Because they're dead, which means Parker knows about Farrow, knows that Arthur didn't have a daughter and now he does, has heard Arthur talking to John about her and knows that his memories haven't been rewritten. Does that mean everyone's memories of Parker have also changed? How did they meet in a world where Farrow didn't die? Did they know each other better? Have more time together? And none of that is real, but everyone thinks it is. I hope Parker can see how messed up this situation is. I hope he gets angry for Farrow's sake, because currently she can't get angry for herself. I want him to call Arthur out on literally everything, especially how fucked up it is. That's not your Farrow, Arthur, and you're not her dad. I'm so excited for how this is going to go. Hopefully I don't explode before then, because every chapter it becomes more and more of a risk. Also, John's a writer. He writes books, and Arthur's going to give himself chronic back pain by sleeping on the couch. Can you see why I'm going to explode? End of witness statement.
Well, thank you for your statement, Fractals. I can't say these are always helpful to the case, but I do really like them. I also love how many questions you ask here, like, does that mean everyone's memories of Parker have also changed? How did they meet in a world where Farrow didn't die? Did they know each other? Like, that kind of rapid question firing offness is, I think, the autopsy vibe.
Yeah, and I think it was Fractal's email that made me go, holy shit. I didn't even think about the fact that Parker is talking about a version of events that sounds like it happened after Farrow died in a world where Farrow exists. And oh, it is so juicy that you bring up Parker getting angry with Arthur for like not telling Farrow the truth, or for taking advantage of having the second chance that he never would have had before. And I'm really curious to see if that ends up turning into a point of tension.
I think it's interesting because when Parker first appeared in the chapter, I was like, oh no, this is going to be like angry spirit, that you killed is pissed off at you the entire time. But he was really not hostile at all. He was a little creepy, but he wasn't like, it didn't sound like he was angry at Arthur. It didn't sound like he was, I know everyone else is saying, like, I heard the bitterness in his tone. I think I struggle with tone a little bit, so I didn't hear that. But I'm willing to admit, like, straight up, I sometimes just hear tone wrong. So I'm willing to be wrong. But I just heard Parker, like, scared and relieved that Arthur could finally be a connection that he really needed to have. And, like, I heard pretty much nothing to be worried about. And I know that people have, there's like two camps of people who are like, I don't trust this guy. This is creepy. This is weird. I'm suspicious. And then there's me,
who's like, I
would
want to
trust
hug that
Parker
guy.
with my
I want to
life.
hug that guy.
Yeah, I would just turn around and hug him. What are you doing, Arthur? So, I get that it's also like the genre we're in. It's pretty normal to be suspicious, and like we don't really know what's going on. So, of course, I think it's natural to be suspicious. But Parker did not sound upset, and I really wonder when that happens, if it will be a ghost upset or like a normal person who happens to be dead upset.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they unpack the fact that, like, Parker died by Arthur's hands. And it seems like Parker already understands that was not out of, like, Arthur's free will. But I never thought we were gonna actually get the opportunity for Parker and John to interact and to, like, hash out that. Oh man, that's crazy.
Well, and then I know there are people who have always talked about, I think it's on a spooky stream that's really well documented, and that's why it's stuck in my head. Would Parker and John get along? And Harlan's answer was no. And I can totally see why now.
Yep.
And I'm very eager to see what's going to happen when, I mean, you remember how upset and anxious John got when, I mean, we have so many instances of Arthur talking to and having relationships with people that John can't, for whatever reason. But I'm specifically thinking of when Frank Underhill was talking to Arthur and John couldn't hear him. And he got really anxious and upset about, like, what is he telling you? What are you saying? What's happening? And I wonder if John's going to cope well with somebody even who has such a different relationship with Arthur, who knew a life that John never did, coming back into his life, and John not being able to communicate with that person, and also not even being able to hear what that person's saying.
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to my lead for this week. Like, I'm really excited to see how this plays out with these two disembodied voices that can't communicate with each other.
Yeah, like, I mean, what if Parker starts to take over John's job of being the eyes? What if Parker's like, oh, watch your step, and John says it at the same time? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's gonna be really interesting.
Also, I love how Parker is just like, John, let me guess, he's got your eyes. And it's like, Parker, like, what? I mean, obviously you surmise that because you've been, eavesdropping, spying on Arthur, basically. But the fact that he's just like, oh, yes, I understand this, entity that is controlling your eyes, that is inside of your head, his name is John. That checks out. It's like, he's so casual about it.
Yeah. Man, I'm so fascinated by what's going to be revealed between the relationship with John and Parker and what Parker knows or doesn't know, and what he has experienced since dying. Man.
So many things to look forward to.
Hey, it's Inky, she, they. I'm not entirely convinced yet that Parker isn't a psychic manifestation of Arthur's grief. But I do think it's more narratively interesting if Parker is some sort of specter or spirit. And if that's the case, I think the only way we're going to see Parker be able to move on is by finally getting to hear Arthur play the piano. When Arthur stopped playing after Thoreau's death, Parker did everything he could to try and help him through his grief. He picked him up, dusted him off, gave him a job, a space to live, loved him unconditionally, introduced him to his family even. Parker did everything he could to give him the space and time he needed, while gently nudging him forward through his grief towards healing. He even went into massive amounts of debt to buy a piano in hopes that one day Arthur would see the light at the end of that pain, that he would find his creative spark again, and finally play. But he never got to see that. He never got to see Arthur finally let go of the pain of losing Thoreau and come out the other side. And now Thoreau's back, and Arthur and John are absolutely over the moon about it. John is thriving. He's writing novels, enchanting the world with the story of what he and Arthur went through. But Arthur still can't play. He's still being weighed down by something. Parker's death is still such a fresh wound. And Arthur hasn't given it nearly enough time and care to heal properly. And if Callahan's right about this upcoming storm, which we know he is, we're gonna have to speedrun our way through those 5 stages. And when Arthur finally reaches acceptance, and Parker's finally able to move on, I bet he'll play Stardust. Good night, y'all. Have a good autopsy.
Thank you so much for your submission, Inky. I appreciate it. And oh man, Stardust. Man, Evol's favorite is Stardust. I was so excited.
I'm thrilled that part of Parker's like soundscaping is likely to be the first few notes of Stardust. Like I'm so over the moon that that's his theme song. I love that song so much. And oh man, Inky, you got me right in the heart with the thought that the way that Arthur needs to heal and possibly the way that Parker needs to let go and can move on is Arthur playing Stardust. And I think that is a super good call, and I hope that at some point that is part of the story.
Man, it's so interesting how many times stars are coming up.
Yeah.
Going looking at the stars with Faro and Stardust and the stars that John and Arthur could both see in Blackstone, and
I'm so here for it. I love everything astronomy and like folklore about the stars and sort of creation myths or seeing the gods in the stars and making stories about the stars. And so I'm really hoping that maybe there's going to be some cosmic horror in our sort of Lovecraftian mythos horror.
Ooh.
Pie, she, her. Ever thought about giving this place up? It is such an innocuous question if you do not ascribe meaning to this place. And John is someone who genuinely might not understand the baggage that this physical location would have for Arthur, and that is something he cannot easily let go of. The Dreamlands are his home, and he explicitly holds no sentiment towards them in Season 2. Why hasn't Arthur let this place go? Arthur will continuously drive himself to the edge, for others' sake and to just punish himself, so that he doesn't have to turn back towards his own problems. We don't have to worry about that right now, John. We have a case to solve. I'd be sleeping on the same couch. And in building the walls between Arthur Lester, private investigator, and Arthur Lester, he has shut himself in a room with Parker's ghost.
Thank you, Pi, for your very thoughtful submission, as always. I also personally relate to that shit. I mean, I have shit to do. I don't have time to deal with, like, unsolvable problems. He's right. He'd be sleeping on the same couch. It's not like he has enough money for a bed. Otherwise, he'd have a bed already. You know what I mean? So, like, not really much point in fixating on that.
Right. Just push it. Just push it to the back of your brain. Don't think about it. Don't overthink it. I thought it was really interesting how Pi drew that contrast about how John has not had a sort of sense of home until recognizing that like Arthur is his home, but that's not the same kind of like baggage or sentimentality or grief or whatever attached to like a physical location. And I do wonder if there is like parts of the office or however it's set up that Arthur is just like not willing to engage with.
Agreed. All right. I think this is
yes,
this our
we
last
have one more submission from Pi that is just wonderful. Thank you so much, Pi, for filling us in on some of the lore we have to look forward to.
I realize that this chapter set off a fear response in me that would not register to casual listeners of Malevolent. If you don't have my money to me in 3 days, I'm going to kill your little girl. That is how Edwin is introduced in Game 1. Henry was someone who, like Parker, had a gambling habit and frequented Edwin's establishment. When Henry didn't pay up, he had no problem going after Emily to get to Henry. He has also aided investigators. He was Teddy and Elijah's contact to Arkham's underworld. He is the kind of man who recognized the Butcher's calling cards. Though let me be very clear, no aid was given without the investigators doing a job for Edwin in return. As we knew him, he was an owner of a speakeasy and gambling parlor whose ties to Arkham's underworld ran deep. And it's been 14 years since Game 1, 12 since Witch's Mark. He's had all the time in the world to rise through ranks. Emily was only 8.
Thank you, Pi. Chilling additional submission.
Fucking chills. I knew that Edwin had been like mentioned in the Call of Cthulhu games, but having all of the sort of the essence of Edwin's part in the games condensed into this, oh yeah, that is very chilling. This almost feels like the Butcher introduction moment from Blackstone that Liz has talked about before, where Liz, wizard Liz, had watched the Call of Cthulhu games and Witch's Mark and knew about the Butcher. And so was the person to like raise the alarm, like, we can't fuck around with this guy. And so I'm really excited that Edwin being introduced, and we have this background of him, and it'll be really interesting.
So I wanted to read out the scene from part 59 that has quickly come to the forefront of many people's brains. John and Arthur are in the bathroom, and they cast the light of the lantern that they got from the trader on the wall, and John says that it's projecting his shape. It has like ringed and polished gold and warm light. It's round, ornate, with strange curls at the top and bottom of the window. There's movement through the window. He sees a figure, but they're out of focus. Move closer, carefully. I see a street. It's day. A man walking, quickly, angrily. It's a city. New York? No, Arkham. He walks. He passes a man who throws a bucket of water on the street. He nearly steps in it, but moves out of the way quickly. He turns his head to the right, as if hearing something on the other side of the road. The man is you, Arthur, a version of you. You're walking, still walking fast, like you're avoiding something, someone. A woman is following you, angrily. She has dark hair, her eyes are fixed upon you. I can't hear her, but she calls you, and you stop. Arthur, it's Faro. She's older, a young woman, 18 maybe. She's speaking to you. What about? I don't know. Arthur says, is this from one of the worlds, one of the realities you took me from? Perhaps one left that. And John, he cuts himself off, and John says, she's saying something heated. You're arguing, I think. I can't tell, but there's a moment of calm. You're crying, scared maybe. And she, wait, there's a man behind you. You can't see him, but she does. He pulls a gun, Arthur. She runs to you to protect you. He fires. Arthur, he shot Faro. He shot her dead. And that's the entirety of the scene. After that, the window is gone.
Chilling. I don't like that either. Oh man. Yeah, that scene is gonna fucking haunt me.
Very interesting.
And I know it's gonna come back eventually.
I wonder. There's so many details about that scene. I wonder if just everyone keep that scene in your brains and don't let it get too slippery.
Yeah, and I think that it'll be interesting to see if our votes have an impact on whether that scene plays out that way or not.
I have to say, before we close out for the night, we were pretty explicitly told by Booth John that we selected wrong last vote. So the person who did Last Autopsy is dead. I just want to remind everybody. I don't know her. I don't talk to her. I've never heard her before in my life. I don't know what you're talking about.
He told us that we voted wrong, but in like the funniest way possible, where it was just like, a wise decision? No, not really. I love that. I thought that was hilarious. But that reaction also made me think that while, it was a poor decision for Callahan and or Arthur, it is not necessarily like earth-shatteringly bad.
Yeah, I didn't get the impression this was like a grave error, even if it causes Callahan to die. I don't think it was like a decision will be quote unquote forever punished for. I think it will just result in some unfavorable consequences later.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. this evening. It has been a blast. And thank you so much for showing up every evening, every week that we do this. It means a lot. And we had like 21 people here tonight. It's very sweet. I remember starting out sometimes broadcasting to 2 people, and one of those 2 people was Vol. So, yeah, it's been amazing to see the growth that Autopsy has gone through, and I'm just really appreciative of you. Like we mentioned briefly, this is technically our 100th episode. So just appreciate all of you showing up, and whether it's your first Autopsy or your 100th, I have loved doing this show in all iterations, and I'm so lucky to have so many people who care about it enough that like people are volunteering to help even more. I mean, Rose gave us brand new music, and somebody volunteered to do new cover art. So I'm really excited and looking forward to showing you all of that. And as always, of course, Mizra and Vol are keeping the ship afloat. Mizra with amazing editing, and Vol with literally everything else, from sorting witness statements to helping me not do crazy shit and keeping me sane.
I am the brick.
So, and helping me co-host. That's a big job. You are the brick. Okay, guys, if you as a listener want to be part of the show or participate in the community around it, visit Linktree/Malevolent Autopsy to find out how. And thank you, of course, to Harlan Guthrie for our source material, my volunteer editor Mizra, Roses of Envy for our intro music, and all-around volunteer assistant and co-host Vol Control. Remember, in the end, it's never about certainty. It's about making a choice and moving forward. Until next time, the horrors persist.
But so do we.
Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.